Hi, this is Eddie Hearn, and you're watching Lights Out.
Jack Catterall defeats Josh Taylor. The rivalry and the score is settled. But was there more controversy this time around in their rematch? Lawrence Okolie becomes a two-weight world champion, and we are literally just days away from crowning the number one stable in the UK. That's right, people. We're just a few days away from the big 5 versus 5 Queensberry versus Matchroom card. Which stable is going to come out on top? Which fighter is going to save the day for either Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren? This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law, and this is podcast 79 of the Lights Out Boxing Podcast. Delighted to be joined by my main man, as always, Mr. Mohsin Gulshir, aka Ron, who I'm going to let have his moment because, as everybody knows, Manchester United won the FA Cup last weekend, and congratulations to Manchester United. It was like watching the old Manchester United, the Manchester United that were ruthless, strong, and hungry. And listen, hats off to them, Ron. I did say they'd win. How you doing? And how does it feel to see
win
more
something
silverware added to the trophy
Yeah,
cabinet?
well, look, come on. I mean, Ten Hag's had his critics, eighth in the league, minus whatever it is, goal difference. It's not good enough for a club of that stature with that history. But 3 finals in 2 years, not a bad showing, and 2 trophies to show for it as well. I mean, I think the big decisions need to be made upstairs, with what happens with Ten Hag. And we're hearing other managerial candidates who are staying at their clubs, or Chelsea are also looking. So watch this space. But happy days. But let's see what happens with my club moving forward.
Listen, only time will tell. Before we do get started with today's podcast, now Ron's had his moment. Just a few friendly reminders. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment, smash the bell for more Lights Out Boxing content. And if you want to listen to this podcast on any of the audio platforms, the links are below in the description. We love the sport of boxing. We've always got quite a bit to talk about. So we'll start with what went down last weekend in the Leeds Direct Arena between Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor, the rematch that was 2 years in the making, and it's a rematch that Jack Catterall won. A tremendous fight indeed, a fight of 2 halves, just like Fury versus Usyk. Ron, this is a rematch you spoke about a lot throughout the last few weeks, and you said that this pod was one that you were going to be very excited by. The fight lived up to its hype. How do you sum up what went down in Leeds, and overall, what was your thoughts on the fight, the judge's decision, and the scorecard in the end?
Well, we had to be very, very patient with this to get this second installment. I mean, the first fight was a great fight, and I felt really saddened for Catterall. He had his moment of being undisputed, and thank God, he had his opportunity to kind of have the rematch, and we were treated to another good, just a boxing event. I thought it was a really good fight from both. Josh Taylor kind of showed why he was undisputed, why he is so good at, what he does as well. So, but I think the work rate from Catterall was a lot better. I thought he kind of landed the more eye-catching shots. There were moments that they both had in the fight. You mentioned about the boxing scorecards. I was shocked to see that.
I'm just going to read those scorecards out, Ron.
Yes, please do.
Apologies for interrupting. 116 to 113, and 2 judges scored it 117 to 111. It's a
6
shame.
rounds.
It's a shame because waited so long for that rematch, and yet it's covered by more controversy.
Yeah, okay. I guess that's what a lot of people are talking about, and it's kind of putting boxing in the mud again. But regardless, I think 99% people agree, minus Bob Arum, that Jack Catterall was the winner, and rightly so. He performed, tremendously, and I think he had to. He had to prove it to himself and kind of prove it. the gloves are off kind of between the two, where they were kind of exchanging pleasantries between the two. And I think so. He's got one now. They're one each. Bob Arum had his say. A 92-year-old, he wasn't holding back what he thought of the decision. He thought he was robbed. I didn't see it that way. I thought Jack Catterall fought really well, landed the eye-catching shots. He ended the rounds better. I think that's probably what got him a few of those rounds. But Josh Taylor, I mean, credit where it's due. He came back. He was firing. There was moments that he was looking good in that fight as well. But there was a clash of heads, which I was really worried about early on in the fight. Thank God, it didn't get any worse, or the fight had to be stopped, because that's the last thing that we would have wanted. But a really good night of boxing. Well done to Jack Catterall for righting that wrong. But will there be a trilogy?
Well, only time will tell if there will be a trilogy. But I think everything you more or less just said, Ron, is exactly what I was going to say as well. I thought Catterall landed the more effective shots, and I thought Taylor landed. Taylor obviously played his part in the fight as well. I just felt Jack Catterall's shots were more effective, and I just thought Josh Taylor started off a bit slow. I mean, had he won maybe a few of those earlier rounds, the fight could have gone his way, but I thought he done tremendously well to get back into the fight and, make it a close fight. Having said that, I've watched the fight back, and I said on my Twitter that I had it as a draw. I still have it as a draw. There's a few people out there that saying Jack won by 2 or 3 rounds. Tony Bellew said he had it as a draw. Josh Taylor's trainer thought he was confident, but when he heard 117, 111, he knew that, it wasn't going in his favor. And we talk, look, whenever me and you get together, we always talk about judges and how we can improve boxing. I think one thing that needs to be clarified, especially with the judges today, is how do they score fights? I mean, are they going by the fighter that lands the more punches, or are they going by the guy that lands the more cleaner and effective punches? You see, for me, if I'm a judge and I'm scoring a round, I'm not going to go in favor of a guy that's perhaps nicked the last 10 rounds and landed a few big shots. I want to go more towards the guy that's landed the cleaner punches and landed more punches throughout the round. But look, I don't.
Do you have the stats on you, by any chance? Sorry,
I don't.
Yeah, that would be interesting to look at. I don't think that that's necessarily true, because I recall throughout the fight, they'd show how many they've thrown, how many they'd landed. I don't think there was a massive difference, between the two. I think Catterall had thrown more, but I take your point. I take your point about the fight doesn't get judged on the last 10 seconds of the round. Yeah. Saying that, there was times where Taylor looked like, he was out on his feet. He looked like a few more punches. But gosh, Josh Taylor has got a chin. I think that's something that we both can agree on.
100%. But I want to go back to the point I'm making. Look, I mean, it's a shame that we've got more controversy surrounding these two. I think controversy just follows Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. You've always asked me what can judges do to improve, and I think that reports at the end of fights are needed. I'm not just talking about a report as to why they scored the fight. I'd like to see a round by round kind of a report and read through it. But judges have got to clarify how they score their rounds. I mean, what do they favor? What is it that they lean towards more? That's what I would like to know. But it was a good.
I've got a suggestion. Yeah, I've got a suggestion. Just for broadcasting, thinking about, how in Premiership football we've got former referees who comment on certain fouls or certain moments in the game, and to say, okay, yes, that should have been a red card or whatever. I'd love to see that being, former judges to kind of come in and, between rounds or after the fight to say, this is what they might have been looking at. This is what they, would have given points for, or kind of not liked, whatever, I think that would be great. I think maybe we as fans don't know what the judges are looking for, what their criteria is, how they judge who wins a round. Maybe that could help with clearing up the confusion surrounding judging of boxing matches or fights.
I think Turkey Ala Sheikh's going to like you, Ron.
Mm.
Ron, let's talk about what's next for both fighters. I want to see a third fight. I think right now the best idea, the best solution for me is do a third fight. I would like to see a third fight. And you know what? I'd like to see it in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to see it in the UK. Because these two guys have fought twice, and yet we're still talking about scorecards and decisions that are they going the right way? Are they going the wrong way? I'd like to see it taken to one of these big Saudi cards. What would you like to see these two do next? Do you think Josh Taylor goes up in weight? Do you think Teofimo Lopez is going to be looked at by Jack Catterall? I mean, what's the ideal solution for these two going forward now? Ron?
If I was honestly Jack Catterall, I wouldn't want the third fight, not immediately for now anyway, because he's right. He felt he won that first fight, and he was let down by the judges, and then he obviously won the second fight. It's this phrase that I use quite often. High risk, no reward. I mean, like, what does he get? There's no title on the line, is there? So my thinking is, if both of these boys go in their direction for now, Josh Taylor might move up to 147, might pick up a title. I mean, it's a tough division. I'm not gonna lie to you there. So that might be a bit easier said than done. So I'd like to see it rewinded back, but only if they've got something to fight for. Because Jack Catterall, if you remember that first fight, he could have been an undisputed, and he was denied that opportunity. So why is he going to do it all over again? Unless the money speaks, then that's a different matter. But it's not a fight that I would be as keen and as eager as I was this time round. Would I be keen for a third time? Not in the immediate, maybe down the line, yes.
Well, look, only time's going to tell, but I think they should go into a third fight. I really do, because we all know Teofimo Lopez has got a mandatory defense coming up. What does Josh Taylor do at 147? I mean, there's one fight I can think of at 147 is Conor Benn, but Conor Benn's situation with the British Boxing Board of Control is not clear. So, I mean, if Turkey Ala Sheikh is willing to put some money up for that fight and maybe put it on one of these big Saudi cards, and we can get a vacant title, who knows? But look, second fight delivered, really, really good fight, and I'm pretty sure we'll see a third one. It's just a case of when, not if. We'll move on. We'll talk about another British fighter who's become a two-weight world champion. Lawrence Okolie went all the way to Poland to beat Lucas Rozansky to become the WBC Bridgerweight world champion. Ron, you asked me on Friday night after we finished our classic game of football where you gave away a penalty and defensively you just, we'll not go into that, but you asked me after the game of football where you defensively you were just the issue that cost us the game, but I don't want to carry on talking about it. No, I'm joking, Ron. I love you really, mate. You said you said to me you're watching the Lawrence Okolie fight. I said, yeah, I am going to watch it. It'll be over in one round, and it was. He is a two-weight world champion. Job done? Anything to jump up and down about, or did you expect that to happen?
I mean, we didn't know what to expect with Okolie. He was last out in last year, a year ago, against Chris Smith, and he lost. He got dropped 3 times that fight. He just didn't look at himself. He's not been. He's throughout his career, he's faced a lot of criticism for his style. It's not the most attractive style. It puts people off boxing. So he's come up with a new trainer now as well. With Gallagher, is he with
Joe
now?
Gallagher, yeah.
Joe Gallagher. So excellent, I think. So he looked refreshed. He looked like he rebooted himself. Despite, come on, obviously he's beaten Rozansky at the Bridgerweight, which is not really well talked about. Division is a new division, but nonetheless, he performed what was expected of him. And he did a number on going to someone's back home like that. Like, think about what Rosansky did to Babic in the first round. So he's a dangerous operator, Rosansky. He's just going to come at you like a train and swarm you. But I think Okolie used his dimensions really perfectly. You know, he's used that long reach, that long levers, and landed that right hand at will. And you know, he had him up against the ropes, and it was just like teeing off. So excellent performance. So, but this is what we expected of Lawrence. What next? I think that's the key question. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what's next is, do you go up to heavyweight or do you wait at cruiserweight for Filip Reactpor? That's obviously the next solution. Me personally, I mean, he's going to go up to heavyweight, and there are some good domestic fights at heavyweight. You know, he's had a bit of some history with Dillian White. Having said that, I just feel as if that, you know, if you're Lawrence Okolie right now, you'd want to surely avenge that defeat to Chris Billam-Smith. That's if Billam-Smith gets past Richard Reactpor. And if he doesn't, well, why not go down and fight Reactpor? I mean, that's a fight people have spoken about for a long time. I mean, surely you'd want to leave the cruiserweight division as the #1 British fighter in that division and one of the best fighters of the division in terms of, you know, the other fighters such as the J.O. Patayas, the Badu Jacks. I mean, what's he going to do at cruiserweight? I mean, who is it? Does Oscar Rivas hold a belt at Bridgeweight? I'm not sure. Look, it's a division that's been got given to us about a year ago, 18 months, and we've seen a few fights at it. It's not, there's no noise about it. I'm not knocking it. It's just another division that did we need? Not really. But performance-wise against Rosansky, I thought he did what he had to do, and I always said he was going to knock Rosansky out within a round, and he did that, and I'm happy for him. Two-weight world champion. He's received a lot of stick throughout his career. A lot of people have not got on board with his style, but I think, look, this move to Joe Gallagher, who trains the likes of Natasha Jonas as well, could be the making of him, and you know, he's still got time on his side. So it's just a case of what he wants to do next. I'm in favour of him challenging at cruiserweight again. You know, I'd like to see him fight the winner of Billam-Smith Reactpor. If not, then go up to heavyweight. There's Dillian White there, who you've had a bit of history with, and there's a lot of options out there for him now. Before we move on, Ron, Bridgeweight division. Are you a fan of it? Do you believe we need it in boxing?
It's just come out of a surprise. I mean, it never existed before. I was just really confused with the introduction of this new division. So I'd like to see what happens with this division. I think it's early days, but if you still want to be a world champion, then this could be your best option because it's not a well-known division yet. I mean, Okolie, if he wants to play his cards right, you can get people like Deontay Wilder to kind of come down to that division. So that would be a mega fight, but I don't think Deontay Wilder doesn't want to mix it down that. He wants to stay with the heavyweights, so the big boys. So I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. Does he go back to cruiserweight? A lot of good fights there. You know, the winner of Reactpor versus Thingy. I mean, if I was making matchmaking, considering that Okolie's been out of the ring for a year, I would kind of consider putting him in with Marius Bradis, because someone who's going to give him some rounds, a quality operator. You saw his fight against Opataya, which was which was close, but obviously considering that Marius Bradis has been out of the ring for 2 years, so that could be an ideal fight. And to really see what he's been working with Joe Gallagher on, and because we didn't see, it's very little to go on. You know, we don't really know, is Okolie, when he gets in trouble, is he going to revert back to his old ugly style of kind of grabbing hold after every few punches? So I mean, there's still question marks over Okolie, but let's not take anything away from that performance. He's a world title winner, so he's a two-time two-weight division champion. So right now, from hearing his post-fight interview, he just wants to get back into the ring again. So let's hope that happens soon. But his team need to do some really good matchmaking.
Well, it's a good thing you mentioned Deontay Wilder, because that's what we're going to talk about next one. We're going to talk about this weekend's huge 5 versus 5 card, which is going to be held in Saudi Arabia, Queensberry versus Matchroom Boxing. I saw a post Eddie Hearn put on Instagram today saying this is 30 years of bloodline. He put a post up, it was a photo of Frank, his dad Barry, and Don King in the middle. Now, if you'd have said to me this time last year, this is what we're going to get, Ron, I would have just laughed in your face. But this is why we love Turkey a la Sheikh. He's come out of nowhere. He's got Eddie and Frank working together. And on Saturday night, they're going to be competing against one another because for the first time in boxing, we are going to get stable versus stable. 2 teams, 2 promoters, 1 winner. Ron. Now, listen, boxing's been on the up for the last 18 months, you know. Spence Crawford, Fury Usyk. We've had Tank Garcia. You know, we've had amazing fights.
Haney and Garcia, well.
Haney Lomachenko. We've had the best fights out there possible. We're still waiting on a few more fights. But this is something different, Ron. This is a Robin round tournament. Now, you've been a boxing fan your whole life, just like myself. How do you feel going into this weekend knowing that we've got this type of format to look forward to for the first time in boxing?
I love the format. I love the idea, you know, like Queensberry versus Matchroom. I'm hearing in the future, if this goes well, which I could see, they're going to do a US versus the UK, which is going to be great as well. So, yeah, so I'm really excited about this 5v5. Let's hope the fights live up to the hype. You know, we've got some really exciting fights there, especially in the heavyweight division. We've got 4. Would you say they're top 10?
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, in the heavyweight division.
Absolutely,
yes.
Both, all 4 of those.
So,
are in the top 10
when do you ever get that? I mean, when have you ever got that?
You haven't. Well,
you know,
I mean,
4
you had it
top
on the
10 heavyweights fighting a night.
Same on the card. You had it on the Day of Reckoning card, but this is just this format's on another level. Like this, you've got Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn's top 5 versus each other, and like it's a point system type of night as well. And every fight is eye catching. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the face-offs, the individual face-offs that they've done.
I saw the 4 heavyweights having a little face-off. I enjoyed that. That was really good. You know, the little kind of playing mind games with each other, kind of leading up to a fight. Dubois was his normal self. You know, that's never been his strong point with the trash talking. But
hey, big baby, everybody has a daddy. On Saturday night, I'm going to be your daddy. Now look.
Oh, bless him. I think he rehearsed that.
For me, the fight that stands out more than any is Ammo Williams versus Hamzah Sheeraz, because, you know, when you look at these 2 guys, right, and I believe that they're both going to be world champions, and I've always said that when they fight eventually, it should be for a unification, because they are the future of 160 pounds, they're the future of boxing. And Hamzah Sheeraz is one of the UK's most exciting talents we've got. Ammo Williams, I've seen him fight quite a few times. I watched his fight specifically against Kieran Conway. Let me tell you one thing, Ammo Williams can bang. That is my favourite fight out of all 5. And I watched the face-off, and I wouldn't say, look, we saw a complete different side to Hamzah Sheeraz, but we saw a different Hamzah Sheeraz. We didn't see the Hamzah Sheeraz, you know, I wouldn't say he was trash talking, but he was giving it back. You know, he wasn't reserved on how he was speaking towards Ammo Williams. Ammo Williams was trying to wind him up. That's my fight of the night. That's the one fight I can't wait for more than anything. And I think that's a tough fight. And that's a fight that I've really, really found hard to predict. But we'll go through the fights, Ron, because we're going to have to predict them one by one. We will do a podcast on it next weekend. So we'll start off with what I believe will be the opening fight of the night. It'll be Queensberry's Willy Hutchinson versus Matchroom's Craig the Spider Richards. That's going to be contested at light heavyweight. Ron, go first. Who wins and how?
I'm going to go for a bit of a controversial one, and because I seriously cannot pick a winner. I think both of them had good moments in their previous fights, especially thinking about Spider Richards. You know, he gave Bivol a really run for his money, you know, behind closed doors, and he's been unlucky with some of his fights. I'm going for a draw for that one. I genuinely just think I'm sitting in the middle and I can't pick a winner, but I think it'll be a close points win. So draw or close points win. I'm going to sit on the fence.
Okay, right. I'm going to go for a Craig Richards win by knockout. I think that fight does not go beyond 6 rounds. The second
Wow.
fight,
Okay. Quite different there.
yeah, and this is the second fight of the night, and it's a world title fight. Queensberry's Nick the Relentless, which is what I like to call him, Relentless Ball, versus Matchroom's Raymond Ford for the featherweight. Sorry, for the featherweight title of the world. We all know what Nick Ball's about, and if you follow your boxing around the world, you'll damn sure know what Raymond Ford is all about. It's a great fight. It should be a unification fight, but it's not. But nonetheless, Nick Ball is second fight of the year, second world title shot. That's all down to the work of Turkey Al Sheikh. Ron, predictions. Who wins that and how do they win that? That's going to be an absolute barnstorm of a fight.
If Nick Ball's last fight was anything to go by, I mean that was a whirlwind, wasn't it? Just his performance. He's vertically challenged, just like me. You know, what's his? How tall is Nick Ball? 5'3" or something?
How tall are you?
5'6", I'd say. I mean, on a good day.
Just shorter than you, Rod.
But you know, when I saw him up against Reyes looked like a giant compared to, you know, his last fight, and he, you know, the job that he did on him, the relentless, that name you've given him, is perfect because he just doesn't stop. It's that energy, you know, that he brings, and I think it depends on Ford, what kind of tactics that he has, but he knows he's going to be in for a tough night's work. I'm gonna, just because based on that performance, that last performance, but you know, obviously you've got both really good levels. I'm gonna side with Nick Ball on points.
I'm going for a draw. I think it's going to be a draw, not a controversial one like Nick Ball got in his last fight. Let me tell you one thing: Raymond Ford can fucking fight, but so can Nick Ball. This is not going to be a chess match. This is going to be a war. These two guys are going to meet each other middle in the ring, toe to toe. These two guys are absolute animals, and I am 100% going for a draw with this fight. It could look either fighter could win.
I agree. I mean, I think it's probably more my heart that's going for a Nick Ball win. I mean, I'm not. I feel gutted. I'm kind of ruling out Raymond Ford as well, but it could go either way. This one, I think they're both. I mean, Nick Ball. You know, where's he from? He's from Steve. Where is he from? Is he from London?
Nick Ball. He's a Scouser.
No, he's a Scouser. Oh gosh.
Watch him change his prediction now.
Yeah, he's shit. No, yes. No, all the best for him. I mean, I hope he gets what he deserves in this fight. But he didn't get it. He didn't get it last time round where he deserved to be world champion. So, I'm looking forward to that one as well.
The fight that I'm looking forward to the most: Queensberry's Hamzah Sheeraz versus Matchroom's Ammo Williams. Two of the faces of boxing they will be the faces of boxing one day. I'm telling you that now. These two guys are going to have illustrious careers, and I cannot wait for this fight. I'm going to go for a Hamzah Sheeraz close, and I mean close, split decision win. I'm talking fine margins. This is a fight that honestly should be happening in 18 months' time when they're both world champions. But are we complaining? No, we're not. This is happening at the middle stages of their career. It's a fight I'm looking forward to. I'm going for a Hamzah Sheeraz close points decision win. Ron?
I think I'm going to side with Hamzah Sheeraz as well. I think Hamzah Sheeraz stops him. I think take nothing away from Ammo Williams, but I think being British, being Pakistani as well, someone probably more that, I think, and I like liked his performance against Liam Williams. I think he did a number on him. That was not what anyone predicted. Any fans, we spoke about it extensively in our pod a few months ago. We were amazed, blown away by that performance and who he was calling out at the end of it. I hope his stock can keep on rising, and he'll get a good performance in against the likes of Emma Williams. And you consider both of them very highly, and you would have thought 18 months time they both would have been world title holders and would have been fighting for world title belts. But at the moment they're fighting. Credit to them. They're taking on tough fights, but gaining very little out of it. So I think it'll be a really good kind of battle, that one.
Queensberry's Daniel Dubois versus Matchroom's Filip Hrogvic. I'm going to go for a Daniel Dubois knockout win. I've got Daniel Dubois winning this by knockout. Ron, your prediction?
I hope so. I think they're both these fighters, they're quite young in their careers, aren't they? Daniel Dubois is 26. Hrogvic is relatively young. I think he's in his mid-20s. The winner of this, there's a potential that they could. Well, has it been confirmed about the IBF? Is the IBF on the line?
We've not heard anything. No, I doubt that. With days away before the fight, the IBF are going to sanction this as a world title fight. No, from what I'm hearing, Usyk is going to ask for an extension so he can defend the undisputed against Tyson Fury again.
Wow.
But we're still waiting for the IBF.
That's big on the IBF. I thought they were just eager just for them, one of those belts to become relinquished and people for fighting for them. So that's a shame, really, because I would have liked, that would have given it a little bit more of a spark, more of an incentive for both of these fights. Not that they need any more. Both of them have gone through controversy in earlier fights leading up to this this big event. Obviously Dubois kind of losing against Joyce and Usyk in his career, and there's threats, not threats, sorry, criticism about his heart. Obviously Hrogvic coming, I thought he lost against Zhilei Zhang, so interesting. I've maybe because I'm British and I'm going for Daniel Dubois. And I'd like to think that he took a lot away from his performance versus Jarrell Miller. He answered a lot of questions. Jarrell Miller is a big unit and he hits hard. And Daniel Dubois came through that fight, and and he got a lot of respect from the boxing world. So I hope he can make better of that. And we can, and then we could have a potential for him, Daniel Dubois versus AJ in September. That could be the possibility, or Hrogvic might have other ideas. But I'm going for Triple D by points.
Queensberry's Zhilei Zhang versus Matchroom's Deontay Wilder. And I'm going to label this as the career versus career match. Whoever loses this fight is surely done from boxing. Having said that, I believe Deontay Wilder will knock out Zhilei Zhang within the first 6 rounds. Ron, your prediction?
Zhilei, Big Bang Zhang, I'm going for by knockout. I don't know. I think there's a lot of kind of boxing analysts and critics have just said that Deontay's best days are behind him. We saw his performance versus Joseph Parker. He just looked like he was running out of ideas. He was just hoping for one of those haymakers to land, and if that doesn't happen, then what then? Zhilei Zhang, he's quite durable. Yes, he's got question marks over his engine, but if you're that size, and what is he, 39, 40? There's that as well. But Wilder doesn't get better on in the later stages of the fight either. So I'm predicting that maybe Zhang mid-fight stops him, or something happens, and Zhang, has Zhang ever suffered a knockdown in his career?
No. Not that I've seen.
No. So, no. Deontay has, Deontay's suffered quite a few, again, in that Tyson Fury trilogy, that shootout there. And he took some heavy beats, shots versus Joseph Parker. But credit to him, he didn't go down.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much is left in the tank? But this could be a making of Deontay Wilder, where he wins this emphatically. This could happen just as easily, where he announces himself back on, that top table, and saying, okay, AJ, let's have it in September. That could be an argument, or Daniel Dubois, or there's that level of kind of other fighters that he could potentially face. But it's a tough test. It's a great fight as well. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's a great night of boxing to look forward to. I mean, the first time ever we're going to get two stables collide with one another in an all-out robin round point system, and it's going to be a fantastic night of boxing. We're really, really looking forward to it. Ron, we've covered everything, so pleasure as always, mate. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we're going to get together this weekend and maybe watch the boxing, and we'll look forward to discussing what went down in Saudi Arabia next weekend. But yeah, Ron, pleasure as always, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's all mine, mate. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, and turn on the bell for more Lights Out boxing content. And make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. And listen, if you need representation in the courtroom, we are proudly sponsored by the #1 law firm in the UK, Spartans Law. Thank you very much for watching podcast 79 of the Lights Out Boxing podcast.